Here's a question I want you to sit for a moment. Have you ever watched someone get promoted and thought, how did that happen? They weren't more qualified than you. They didn't work harder, but somehow they moved up, and yet you didn't. If you felt like that, you're not imagining it, and you're definitely not alone. There are rules in leadership, but nobody tells you what they are. They're not in your job description. They're not in your performance review, and nobody is going to sit you down and explain them to you. But they are absolutely shaping your career every single day. Welcome to Women Leading Beyond Bias. I'm Sandra D'Souza, founder of Elect and author of Amazon #1 bestseller From Bias to Equality. This podcast is for corporate and ex-corporate women who are navigating leadership, dealing with systematic barriers, and trying to build real confidence in business. Each episode is short, sharp, and practical because your time matters. Today, we're starting with the foundation, the invisible rules of leadership, and why understanding them changes everything. Now, McKinsey and Leanan have been tracking women in the workplace for years now, and one of the most consistent findings is what they call the broken rung. It's not the glass ceilings that stops most women, it's the first step into management. And women are less likely to be promoted into that first leadership. And that gap continues over an entire career. But that's what I find even more interesting. When researchers ask women why they think they didn't get promoted, the most common answer is something like, I just need to work harder, I need more experience. And when they ask the organization why, the answers are very different. It's about visibility, sponsorship, strategic relationships. Two completely different worlds. And women are often playing by rules they don't even know exist. I've spoken to hundreds of women in leadership over the years through my work at Elect, and there's a pattern I see constantly. A woman joins a company, she's talented, she's committed, she delivers, she gets great feedback, she ticks every box, and then she watches someone, often a man, sometimes another woman, leapfrog her. And she does this, and she does what we've all been conditioned to do. She works harder, she upskills, she waits. What she doesn't realize is that the decision about her next role wasn't made in her performance review. It was made in a conversation she wasn't in, with people she didn't know were influential, based on an impression that was formed long before the role was ever posted. And that's what I mean by invisible rules. They're not about conspiracy. They're just the unwritten operating system of what most organizations do. And most women never get the user manual. So let me give you 3 things I want you to take away from this episode. 1, performance is the entry ticket, not the price. We're raised to believe that if you do the work and you do it well, the rewards will follow. And in some parts of life, that's true, but in leadership, performance gets you in the room. It does not get you to the top of the room. What moves you up is visibility, whether the right people know who you are, what you stand for, and what value you create. If you're waiting to be noticed for your results alone, you may be waiting a long time. 2, organizations have a hidden curriculum. Every organization has formal processes, job applications, promotion criteria, performance frameworks. And then it has an informal one, how decisions really get made, who's in the inner circle, which relationships actually count, what leadership is supposed to look like in that culture. The women who advance quickly are usually the ones who understand both, not because they play politics, but because they understand the environment they're operating in. That's not being cynical, that's being strategic. 3, you cannot navigate a system you can't see. This is the whole point of this show. Once you see the rules, once they become visible, you have choices. You can decide how to play, you can decide what to push back on, you can build the skills and relationships that actually move the needle. But if you can't see them, you're just hoping. And hope is not a strategy. So throughout this series, I'll be drawing on what I call the PRISM framework: presence, relationships, impact, skill set, and mindset. These are the 5 dimensions that shape how women are seen as leaders and how we can navigate leadership environments more strategically. Today's episode touches on all 5, but particularly presence and relationships, because so much of what makes the invisible rules invisible is that we're not being seen in the right ways by the right people at the right moments. We'll go deeper into each of these in the coming episodes. But here's what I want you to reflect on this week. Think about your own organization. Think about the people who've moved up around you. What do they have in common? Not just skills, but visibility, relationships, presence. Where are the conversations happening that you're not part of? And what's one small thing you could do to shift that? You don't have to overhaul everything. You just have to start seeing the system you're in. Because leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about understanding the environment you're in and learning how to navigate it. That's how we move from bias to quality and how more women step into leadership. I'm Sandra D'Souza. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next episode.